It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this gathering and to offer some few remarks. It does feel like 2010 again for us here in South Africa when we hosted an event of this magnitude. And we're very glad to be here with you to share this occasion with you. South Africa's G20 presidency coincides with the two important moments in the calendar of all justice and loving and freedom-loving people of the world. The first is the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, a document in which the dream of a democratic state and of a just conduct of international affairs was clearly articulated. It called for peace and friendship, sovereignty, equality, and cooperation amongst nations. The second is the 70th anniversary of the Bandung Conference, that historic gathering of Asian and African nations united in their resolve to free themselves from all traces of colonialism. Although the world has changed significantly since 1955, both the spirit of Bandung and the vision of the Freedom Charter are as relevant today as they were then. The ideals of respect for fundamental human rights, self-determination, solidarity, and the peaceful settlement of disputes remains the foundation upon which any just global order must stand. It is in this same spirit that South Africa has approached its G20 presidency, not only as a critique of the global order, as it is, but also as a clear articulation of what the world could be. Ours forms part of a longer lineage of presidencies of the Global South, beginning with Indonesia and followed by India and Brazil. This indeed is a historic moment for our country and for the African continent. For the first time, the African Union participates as a full member of the G20. For the first time, the G20 meets on African soil. This has not only been South Africa's G20, it has indeed been Africa's G20. When we took the mantle from Brazil in December 2024, we were clear that our presidency will sharpen the focus on more just and inclusive global order. This continuity finds expression in our motto of solidarity, equality, and sustainability. These are not just abstract ideals. They echo the aspirations of people across the world who seek dignity, opportunity, and a better future for their children. On the domestic front, some green shoots in the network industries in our economy are beginning to emerge. We have defeated load shedding. The logistic and the commuter rail network is also recovering. Trains are now back on our rails. Commuters are able now to travel with ease, enabling the economy to function, including the rail and logistic network carrying our commodities. The official unemployment rate fell to 31.9% in the third quarter of 2025 from 32.9% in the second quarter of 2025. South Africa is out from the grey FATF list. This wave of positive sentiments was amplified last week, November 14, when S&P Global Rating delivered South Africa's first sovereign credit rating upgrade in nearly 2 decades, raising the long-term foreign currency rating from BB to BB with a positive outlook. The upgrade cited stronger growth prospects, improved fiscal consolidation, and reduced contingent liabilities, particularly reflecting improvements in the energy sector. This shows that we are indeed turning the corner in the economy. While South Africa remains below investment grade, the upgrade is significant. It lowers borrowing costs, broadens the investor base, and signaled renewed confidence in the country's reform trajectory through Operation Vulindlela. The Springboks are also recovering from a temporary slump in form. Bafana Bafana are back with a bang. They've qualified for the World Cup for the first time since 2002. The list of positives is endless. The sky is the limit. Obviously, we still have challenges to contend with: crime, corruption, achieving high levels of sustained economic growth and more jobs, but all these challenges are not insurmountable. We have proven that we are a resilient nation. It is clear we are ready to host the G20 as the nation. During our presidency, we have centered our work on priorities that reflect the concerns and the hopes of the developing world. Working closely with the African Union, we have sought to ensure that Africa's voice, Africa's choices, and Africa's ambitions occupy their rightful place in global decision-making. Esteemed colleagues, across the world, well over 3 billion people live in countries that spend more on servicing debts than on healthcare. More than 60 developing countries now allocate 10% or more of government revenue to interest payments alone. On our continent, the picture is even more stark. Africa's debt has surged by 183% since 2010, rising almost 4 times faster than its GDP. Over the past decade, interest payments have increased by 132%, squeezing out spending on education, healthcare, and productive investment. Today, some 750 million Africans, around 57% of our population, live in countries that spend more on servicing debts than on education and on healthcare. The result is clear. The space of government to meet their people's needs is shrinking. Should this trajectory continue, we risk condemning entire regions into decades of delayed development. The global financial architecture is simply out of step with the needs of the majority of the world's countries. This grim reality explains the first priority of our G20 presidency, debt sustainability for low-income countries. As part of our presidency, we established the G20 Africa Expert Panel, chaired by former Finance Minister Trevor Manuel, to sharpen Africa's voice on issues such as the cost of capital and to push for a reformed, truly inclusive global economic order through the G20. We look forward to its report and recommendations in the coming days. Our second and third priorities address another clear danger, a world unprepared for climate shocks and natural disasters, and transition to clean energy that sidelines those who have contributed least to the crisis, like the Global South and the African continent. We have therefore pushed for stronger global action on disaster resilience and response, as well as predictable and increased financing for a just energy transition. To underline this point, Africa contributes the least to climate crisis, yet faces the greatest risks. Despite this, our continent receives only a fraction of global climate finance, less than 5%. This is not a basis for stable and sustainable future. Our fourth priority is to harness critical minerals for inclusive growth and sustainable development. As the world accelerates its shift to clean energy and digital technologies, demand for these minerals is rising sharply. Africa holds the key to the global energy revolution. Our continent holds 30% of the world's minerals reserves, many of them critical to solar power, electricity, vehicles, and battery storage and green hydrogen. Demand for these minerals is set to increase fourfold by 2040, intensifying competition for access and placing Africa at the heart of the green energy future. This is an opportunity we cannot afford to miss as Africa, to shape, not simply to enjoy, and also only just as consumers, but to be the drivers of global energy transition. Yet, as Secretary General Antonio Guterres of the UN warns, the quest for a green revolution could easily trample on the poor. Without strategic leadership and a unified voice, Africa's mineral endowments and their centrality to the green revolution risk becoming a burden rather than a boom, a curse rather than a catalyst for development. Hence, we need to speak in one voice as the African continent to ensure that we are not left behind in this current revolution. This is why we have placed on the G20 agenda a critical minerals framework to promote beneficiation at source and to ensure that equity, sustainability, and justice anchor this new global quest for critical minerals. It is upon us to ensure that the race for critical minerals does not yield outcomes inimical to our development and detrimental to our future. Alongside these 4 overarching priorities, our presidency has also advanced several important initiatives. Among them is a review of the G20's work at 20 years to assess progress against past commitments and consider how the G20 can remain fit for purpose. We've also convened a panel of experts led by Nobel laureate Professor Joseph Stiglitz to examine the drivers and consequences of global inequality. The panel has championed the creation of an international panel on inequality to keep this issue at the center of global economic governance through their report that they have presented to President Cyril Ramaphosa. All the above reports will shape this week's engagements of the Leaders Summit. As I conclude, allow me to offer 3 reflections to carry into the discussions that will ensue this morning. First, international relations and the future we seek are too important to be left to governments alone. Business and social movements and people-to-people solidarity are essential to shaping progressive global agenda. Secondly, the warning signs are clear. If we fail to act now, future generations will inherit a world none of us will choose to live in. Thirdly, even amidst rising geopolitical tensions and disregard for international law, we cannot lose faith in partnership and multilateral cooperation. It is only through working together across regions, across sectors, that we can build a global order rooted in fairness, dignity, and shared progress. Throughout our journey of the G20, there have been soothsayers of doom whose stock in trade is misinformation, who misrepresented our intentions, questions Africa's capabilities, and sought to weaken confidence in this process. As the old saying goes, we make the path by walking it. Despite their best efforts, we march on and we dare not falter. We believe this week will be a success and we'll be able to achieve a declaration through the Leaders Summit over the weekend. Thank you very much.